What is going on, everybody? What is today? Sam?
Today is Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday. Let's go. Happy Tuesday. And today it's me and Sam. We're going to be talking about different entry points and different ways to get into this game we call real estate. So, how many messages I get, and Sam, you can maybe attest to this. Like, I get messages all the time just saying, "How do I get into real estate?" It's a very broad question, and we're actually going to talk about all the different ways to get into real estate and why you should go down one strategy versus potentially going down a different strategy. So, Sam, with that being said, tell us a little bit about how maybe you got into the game and what your reason was, and then maybe how it's evolved to where you are now.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting topic, and it's something that I don't think maybe is talked about enough. I think people talk about how to get into the game, but there's a few answers that are go-to answers, and then people think that because these are the answers they are hearing, they're always the best answers for them. And the reality is that's not always the case. So for me, a little bit about my backstory, a little bit about me getting into real estate. I got into real estate into sub to October of last year. I had just graduated with a master's degree from college, and there were
Smart.
I'm good with Google and learning how to get answers online. It's all you need for an advanced degree right now, folks. But I had two things. I had two primary characteristics graduating college. I was A, broke as a joke, and I was B, I had all the time in the world because I just offloaded being a full-time student and I wasn't working full-time. So I had the time capacity to put in a lot of hours. Now, those two things we're going to actually today you're going to hear us kind of reverse engineer my situation, Logan's situation, and why we went about things the way that we did. He and I have very different entries into real estate. My entry into real estate, into sub two, into becoming a closer, which is like a term that we always throw around in real estate. These are all a result of my background, of the fact that my two main corresponding traits were that I had no money and I had all the time in the world. So what did I need? I needed money now to pay the bills, right? So long story short, when this is, we'll go and start with this, man. When you find yourself in a predicament like where I was at, where you don't have money, but you have all the time in the world and you've got bills to pay coming up, you need what we call active income. You need money coming in the near future that you can use to kind of stabilize your lifestyle for now. This is not a wealthy thing. It is not a get rich thing. It's not a get rich quick thing. It's let me get a few paychecks in the door so I don't go homeless, so I can pay my bills. And that resulted in me learning about wholesaling. Now, in real estate, Logan, we've got I'm going to talk about the three general kind of main real estate avenues, and they are rentals, buy and hold rentals, fix and flip, and then wholesale. I would argue those are the three most prominent avenues of real estate.
Yep.
Okay, amazing. So for me, to buy and hold a rental, you either A, have to go qualify for a loan or have a bunch of private money. I just graduated college, didn't really have too much of a job, so I couldn't qualify for any loan, right? I couldn't go and I wasn't financeable. I didn't have private money because I'm broke, and I didn't have anyone near me who had private money. And now fix and flips, I didn't want to manage a crew. I didn't even have the money to go to a hard money lender and give them 20% down. I didn't even have that. So all I had was time, and that is it. Now, that's the beauty of wholesaling, is that wholesaling allows you, if you do it right, to leverage that trait. And that's exactly what I did.
So wholesaling is interesting. And so I come into the real estate game on the buy and hold standpoint. And unbeknownst to me, I did my first wholesale deal on accident, right? So I did my first wholesale deal because I locked up two properties owned by the same owner, and I really wanted to buy one of them. I didn't want to buy the other one, and I was like, and the only way he would sell is if he sold them both, because he needed both the money, he needed both the profits from each property to go invest into another property that he was trying to buy on a 1031. And so I was like, well, shoot, I don't want to buy this property. And so I just started searching around, went to my local investor club, and I ended up wholesaling this property to another guy in my local club. And I was just like, wow, this is freaking amazing. Sam, guess how much money I made on that first wholesale deal?
Ooh, first one. Okay, first one, unintentional. $5,000.
Made $0.
Oof.
That's how much I knew about wholesaling. I didn't even know what it was. Like, I didn't coin it wholesaling. It was just like, I need to get rid of this deal because I don't want it, because I need to close on this one. Put it in perspective. That property, we wholesaled it to the guy. I should say we got locked up for $779,000. It was worth $920,000. And so it wasn't until afterwards I realized I could actually sell that contract, right? Because that's why I was like, it's a good deal. But just like, we were also buying another property that took up too much capital. And it wasn't until after I got this whole process done that I realized that I could have actually, quote unquote, sold that contract. And so then I started realizing, well, there's people actually do this and actually make money on it. And I was like, oh, curious. And that was me 4 or 5 years into my real estate journey. I didn't know what a freaking wholesaler was.
Wow. Wow.
So that being said, what is wholesaling? Like, how does it, like, so you talk about it being active income. I just kind of talked about it from a situation where I wholesaled the deal for a lot of nothing. But what was wholesaling doing?
Let's get into it. Let me say this first and foremost. The fact that you assigned a deal, you wholesaled a deal for $0, it hurts me. It hurts my soul, right? It hurts something in me. It really does.
The wholesale community out there is just like, you're an idiot.
Exactly. Every you just got disowned from sub 2. You are no longer an investor. That you lost that license. So what is wholesaling? So I'm going to put this in the simplest terms that I can. Wholesaling is the process of you go to a seller, someone who has a property and they just want to sell it. You go to them and you say, hey, can I buy your property? You get a contract with them to sell their deal, to sell their property, to sell their home. Now, as the wholesaler, you are not actually going to go buy that property. All you've done is gone and get the contract to buy it. And now what you're going to go do is you are going to go find a buyer who's going to come in and you will sell them that contract. That is all you were doing. You were not selling the property. You were not selling anything. All you were doing is selling that piece of paper. That is what wholesaling is. And that difference. So here's how you make money on it. Let's just say, I'm going to keep these numbers very basic. I am going to get a property from a seller, and on my contract, it says I'm going to buy it for $100,000. Okay, 100K, nice, easy number. Logan, I'm going to pretend you are my buyer. You're the buyer that I'm going to go find. You're the guy who actually wants to buy this property. I'm going to sell it to you for 120. I've got it at 100 from the seller. I've got it at you for 120. That $20,000 difference in the middle, that is basically known as a wholesale fee. That is where I make money. So that is how wholesalers get their active income. I hope that was simple enough. I didn't overdo it, did I?
Yeah. No, it just sounds really illegal. Is it illegal?
No, not at all. And it's unbeknownst to a lot of people, especially a lot of agents who don't really know a ton, and that's okay. They're learning and we're teaching them. Wholesaling is 100% legal. It's totally above board. Now, it's important that as wholesalers, we operate ethically with an emphasis on integrity and taking care of the people that we do business with. If you do that, you will not do any wrong.
So when you say be integrous or have integrity as a wholesaler, what does it look like? And what would maybe be the opposite if people are like, they have no idea, what a wholesaler even is to start with? What is someone who has integrity versus a wholesaler who does not?
So there's many forms of people. Unfortunately, there are a lot of examples of people being bad players in the industry of real estate, especially when it comes to wholesaling. Now, these are people who, let's just say they go and get a deal. They go and lock up a property for 100K from a seller, and they can't sell the property. They can't go, and because they locked it up too high, right? Maybe it is too high. Maybe the deal isn't worth 100K. Maybe it's only worth 75, 60, and they're over contracting it.
Okay.
Now, this is a bad wholesaler. This is not operating with integrity. It is the wholesaler who ghosts, who disappears off the face of the earth, who leaves the seller in a bad position. Now, how do you operate with that problem, right? How do you handle that with integrity? You own up to it first and foremost. I have a team of wholesalers that I work with all the time. And do we lock up deals? Do they lock up deals too high sometimes? It happens. It's inevitable. It's just math. Now, the key is to get out ahead of it as soon as you can, to own up to it, and to be transparent with all parties involved that this happened and we're going to do what we can to make it right. Sometimes making it right is as simple as terminating the contract, and sending the seller on their way. Sometimes making it right is by maybe just getting a price reduction. Hey, I got it from you for 100. I need it at 90 or 80. Can you do that for me? And then I can get this deal done. Maybe, and that works. Now you've taken care of the seller, you've solved the problem, and you're fine. What you don't want to do is ever leave anyone high and dry. You don't want to take advantage of people. These are all, and there's more, there's more examples of this. Here's another one. Don't lie. Don't lie. If you are not the buyer of this property, that's okay. You can say that you are not the buyer. So I have seen some of the most amazing wholesalers I've met and who I have the privilege to know will be completely forward and honest with the sellers that, hey, I'm not here to buy this property. I actually work with someone else and I source deals for them. So you're going to be doing business with me, but I'm going to pass the deal right off to them.
Yep.
That's just being transparent. It's being honest. It's being open. That's how you do wholesaling right.
Sounds like just how to do life right? So even if someone doesn't know how to, like, the ethics of the wholesale business, it's just actually just being ethics of a human being.
Communication goes a long way.
Yeah.
Communication's huge. And sometimes it's funny when I think people have this fear of messing up. And, when they do mess up, which is inevitable, they shut down.
Yeah.
So when Logan, you've got a couple of kids, right? You've got 2 daughters. And I know this because I've got kid brothers. When they mess up, when they do something wrong and then they realize they did something wrong, what do? Their natural inclination is to go into hiding mode.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, if I disappear, if I go in my room and Sam doesn't see me, he's not going to know that it was me and it's just going to go away.
Yeah.
And the reality is, and what do we do with I'm sure you do this with your daughters. I do this with my 2 little brothers. I teach them that, hey, I'm not going to be mad at you, but I will only be mad at you if you try to make it go away by never addressing it or you lie.
Yeah.
If you come out in front of it, own that this happened, and then we figure out how to make sure it doesn't happen again together. If we don't communicate that, if we do that, I will never be mad at you. In fact, I'm going to be proud of you, and I'm probably going to take you out for ice cream right after.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Logan, I know you're a phenom, so it probably won't be ice cream. It'll probably be like, go to the gym or something like that.
Give me a protein shake, bro.
Exactly. So that's it, right? Communication is so crucial, not just in this business, but in life.
I think what you said right there is like, it's what I see as one of the like the super skills and super values that will serve you not just in the wholesale business, not just in business, but in relationships. It will serve you in your quality of life, your happiness. I gotta tell you this example because it just like made me think of it. A couple months ago, it was a Friday night. My wife gets a message from our Airbnb guests. We have a mother-in-law suite that's part of our property that we rent out on Airbnb. And she gets a message on 7, 8, 9 o'clock on Friday night saying that there's water in the bathroom and it's going all over the floor. And I was like, it's interesting, right? And so I get up off the couch and Katie's like, I figured out where it was coming from. And she pulls me into our bathroom and our daughter's in there taking a bath. Well, she has this bucket, this big bucket with a handle on it. And she is dumping water out of the bathtub onto our bathroom floor. And our house is above this mother-in-law suite down below. And so this water was going through our floor down and dripping into their bathroom. And by the looks of it, half the bath was down in the basement. And I was just like, I got like, keep in mind, like she's 2 years old at this time. I'm just like you should know better. And so I instantly got like a little Laney, like that was my dad was like Laney. I was like my reaction was just like, But I went and handled the situation downstairs. I told the attendants what had happened, and they're like, well, if we see a little yellow rubber ducky, we'll let you know, right? Like they were cool. And so I cleaned it up. I come back upstairs. I'm still just a little bit irritated because I believe that my 2-year-old, like she should know not to dump water out of the bathtub. And so I get ready to come into the bathtub or to the bathroom, ready to just like let her know that like this is not right. This is not going to happen again. And as soon as I walk in, she sees me, she looks at me, and she just comes to me and she says, Pops, I am so sorry. I am so, like, she just was like, I am, like, she just owns it. Like, I'm so sorry. And just like, she took it all. And I was like, it just stopped me in my tracks. And
Just
so
deflated.
Yeah. Just like, it literally just was like it was like a punch, right? Just like, oh. And instead of me being like, let her know that it was wrong, I was like, I just hugged her. I was like, hey, like,
so I got to say this for everyone watching. I've met Lainey. Lainey is one, a sweetheart, total sweetheart. Two, probably the most adventurous child I've ever met in my life. Ever seen this girl? There is no stopping this girl. So that actually doesn't surprise me one bit, because I know if it was your other daughter, you know, she should be swimming, right? The water would stay in the tub because she needs to swim. But with Lainey, that makes sense. But the reality is this, right? Once you've done this, or once she did this, she got out ahead of it.
mm-hmm.
She got out ahead of it. She owned it. What does it do to you? It's like, well, great. Now you've taken me through the emotions that I thought I was going to go through, and you've like robbed me of them. So my little brother Johnny, he's amazing because he's a rambunctious kid who's always getting into trouble. Always. He's learned this with me time and time again, and he's seen that through experience. If I mess up before Sam comes and grills me about it, I'm going to go to him before he knows. I'm going to say that this happened. I'm going to have already addressed it and say how it's resolved, and then how it's never going to happen again. He comes to me with like a holistic 4-point plan in a presentation, and I'm just like, I didn't know that he broke the TV or something. But by the time he comes to me, I broke the TV. It's okay. It's under warranty. I contacted freaking Samsung. They've got a new one on the way, and it's even bigger and better. And I'm just sitting there like, all right, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. So this is Bo Howard, dude. I love Bo. He's got one of the coolest names ever. His full name is actually Beauregard. I just love that name. I love saying it. It's such a unique name. But this is the reality of what we do. So in a wholesaler who I know, who's JVing with me on a few deals, they brought me a deal, and then they asked me for feedback because they're trying to sell me the deal. And I said, hey, this deal's locked up way too high. And I'm not saying that they had it at a number that was so high that they had no business being that high. And it's either A, that they intentionally try to mislead me, or B, they're human and they made a mistake. So I gave that feedback, right? And I said, hey, this is a little too high for this, and this reason. And what ends up happening is this person did a phenomenal job. They owned up to it. And they're like, great, okay, I'm so sorry. Here's the thing. I locked it up with the seller. How can I go? Like, how am I going to make this right? Because the seller is like moving out tomorrow. And I'm like, great. Here's what's going to happen. Either you get a $50,000 reduction, or the seller is going nowhere. So what did I instruct this person to do? I instructed them to get on the phone with the seller and have an honest discussion about what's happening. And I told him, if you get this low, I will buy it. I will actually step up and buy it. And so you don't have to seem like a wholesaler or a middleman or anything. Just say, hey, my partner, his name is Sam. He's going to buy it, but he needs to be at this number. If we can make that happen, great. He'll step up. He'll do it. If you can't get it that low, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to back out of this. And I want to let you know now, before you go inconvenience your life and move out and get a moving truck and displace your family and things like that. Yeah. So this is all about, we've kind of harped on this for a little bit, but this is about leading with integrity, leading with values and good ethics and things like that. But that's paramount in wholesaling, especially.
And I think those are great opportunities for you to show your character to somebody who you might not have a a strong relationship with, or maybe even no relationship, maybe in the case of a seller. And you can like basically say, hey, like these are my values, here's my integrity, like I messed this up, I want to make it right. And people they'll almost be on your team, they want to help you out because you've shown integrity. And so those are like actually opportunities. And me and you've talked about this, is like I love opportunities for things that don't go exactly as planned, because that's what actually showcases someone's values and how they think of themselves and what their true intentions are when things aren't going as planned.
Exactly. So, and we'll move on from wholesaling in a minute, because we do want to talk about other avenues of getting plugged into real estate.
So let me ask one thing about wholesaling, because I think this is like important for people who aren't familiar. So it sounds really easy, right? I get a contract and then I sell it to somebody else for a higher price and I make my money, and I don't like. Did you get your degree from Fresno State in wholesaling? Is that how you know this information, Sam?
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not.
Oh, so you don't have to have your degree from Fresno State. Do you have to have a scholarship to play tennis in order to be a wholesaler?
No. That would have been great if they raised the bar, but no, you don't need that. You don't need a degree. You don't need. I didn't need a scholarship from Fresno State University to do that either. You don't need a high credit score, which
interesting.
I mean, I have a good.
Okay, so if I buy a property for, like you said, $100,000 and I sell for 120, then how do I come up with $100,000 to close on that property?
Here's the thing: in wholesaling, you don't.
What?
No. So it's this simple.
Interesting.
I don't have 120K, right? If I don't, let's just say I'm a wholesaler, I'm brand new. Let's just say it's me 6 months ago when I first got started. When I first got started, I got into wholesaling. I didn't have, if I got the contract at 100K, I didn't have 100K. Heck, my net worth was negative. Was like straight up negative because I had student debt, right? Yeah. So I was coming in with a negative net worth. I couldn't even go to Wells Fargo and get like the upgraded credit card because of it. True story, guys. And so I didn't have that money. But what am I going to do? I'm going to go find a buyer. Maybe his name is Logan. Maybe Logan's got money. Now I'm going to send it off to Logan at 120. 100K of that 120 is going to pay off the seller, the first contract, and that remaining 20 is going to go to me. So you actually don't need to have a degree, a credit score, a tennis scholarship, funds to do wholesaling. The only funds that I had to put up into wholesaling in the beginning was, probably EMD. It's like $50 for the contract to go live at title.
And what is EMD for people out there who maybe never heard that acronym before?
Right. So EMD stands for Earnest Money Deposit. In the world of real estate, every time you have a purchase and sale agreement, a contract, that contract is not legally viable unless you have some skin in the game attached to it. And that is, it's a good faith measure. And it's just a small amount of money that goes with that contract to make it legal, to make it enforceable. And so for me, I don't think I've ever put any more than $100 into EMD.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a really great way to get into real estate. So you don't need money. You don't need to get qualified for loan. You actually don't even close on the property. You don't need a tennis scholarship. You don't need a college degree. Why are more people doing wholesaling? That sounds like a great way to get your foot into the game of real estate.
So here's the thing. There's a lot of people that are doing wholesaling. And here's my true belief. I think there's a saturation. Is there a saturation of wholesalers? Is there maybe an oversaturation? Maybe, probably. Here's the thing. It's not so much that's the issue. It's that I think there are people, and we're going to get into this today. This is the theme of today, is that there are people getting into wholesaling because they hear me talk about it. They hear Logan talk about how we don't need anything to do it. But the reality is maybe wholesaling isn't the best thing for them. Yeah. There's a lot of people who are getting into wholesaling thinking it's the best thing for them because I just showcased how amazing it is and how easy it is and things like that. And they may not be realizing that, hey, there's other avenues that we talked about, fix and flip, long-term rental, short-term rental, that actually fit their situation better than getting into wholesaling. So here's something that I said today on Instagram. I said we're going to dispel some myths, right? We're going to bust some myths. And as someone who's an experienced wholesaler who's done a lot of deals, I've done just shy of 30 wholesale deals. Yeah. I will say this, wholesaling is freaking hard. It's simple. It is simple. I will say this. It is truly simple, but it is not easy. It is the same.
What makes it hard?
So a lot of things. So a lot of people will say, okay, it's as simple as you go find a seller and get them to sign a contract and you sell the contract. Amazing. That first half, find a seller and get them to sign a contract, that takes time.
Yeah. What are some of the ways you're able to find sellers? Because like, are people like going on an MLS? Are they like, how the heck do I find somebody who's going to give me a discount on a property that I'm going to be able to upsell to somebody else? I think that's probably a question people would be asking.
Right. So like that's what Sam's saying. That's the tricky part of the equation. Now, how do we do that? How do we make it easier? Well, the reality is there's a lot of ways to do it. The most popular way right now, and this is like the bee's knees, is hiring a virtual assistant. This is someone who's maybe in another country, someone to work for you for a cheaper rate. And then they spend their entire day just calling sellers on the phone, cold calling all day. Now there's also texting. You can text sellers in batch. You can run Facebook ads, and you can do things like bandit signs. You guys have ever like driven around the road around town? And you see these signs on the side of the road that say "cash for houses," "we buy houses for cash." Those are bandit signs. These are people who are typically wholesalers, and they are marketing to find sellers to get them in the door to have a conversation. All of this stuff is effective. There's varying levels of effectiveness depending on the market, small little things like that. I don't want to get into that. But the reality is all of these marketing methods typically cost money. They cost some money. Hiring a VA, a virtual assistant, to do the cold calling for you, well, guess what? Now you're going to pay the VA for their time. Now you're going to have to pay for a dialer that they use to call on the phones. Now, like, think about the data that they're using. How are they finding these phone numbers and these people? These are data expenses that can all add up. So for me,
and where's this data being pulled from, Sam? Is this like, is it special data? How do I find the special data?
Yeah. So this data, right? This data is actually much more attainable than people may realize. Like, where am I going to go find a list of people who may want to sell me a house, and how do I get their phone numbers? Yep. The reality is that information you can actually get on the drop of a dime. It's going to cost you more than a dime, I will say that. But you can get it from data providers. The most prominent one out there is one that I've used time and time again. I still do to this day, called Batch Leads. There's another one called PropStream. There's a few other tertiary ones, but Batch Leads and PropStream are the two most well-known, widely recognized. And what they'll do is this: you can go to Batch Leads right now, and then click on any town. Let's just say my town, Fresno, California. Now it's going to give you a list of all the addresses in Fresno, California, all of them. And let's just say I want to market to every single person because I'm just being ambitious. Through Batch Leads, I can submit all of those addresses into it, and they will, what's known as skip tracing. They will skip trace these addresses, and it'll give me back who the owner is, what their phone number is, and just little things like that. And now I'm going to take that data and I'm going to send it to my VA, my virtual assistant, or maybe if it's me and I'm cold calling myself, I'm going to have that data in front of me, and I'm going to start cranking away. I'm going to start grinding on that data. And make no mistake, this is why I said wholesaling is simple, but it is not easy. Yeah. Wholesaling is a grind. There is a lot of time. Once you've got the data, you've got the systems, you've maybe even got a VA who's doing a lot of the grunt work for you. There's going to be a period of time. There's going to be lag time where you're just going to have to wait for the right seller to come up. If it was any easier than that, we would be getting wholesale deals 25 times a day. And there's a reason that doesn't happen. So for me, and then we'll get on to the next part. Here's how I alleviated that. So when I graduated college, I had some grants because I was doing some cool stuff. I had some money left over from a previous job, but not a lot. I did the VA game, cold calling. I did the texting game. I did the Facebook game. I did the ads game. Yeah. And guess what? None of it worked for me at all. Like, I lost almost all the money that I had doing that. So I had to do wholesaling a different way. Now this is not enter. I was already in sub 2, but this is why Pace Morby and sub 2 changed my life. They gave me the abilities and the skill sets and the talents to become a phenomenal closer who the community saw, and I quickly made a name for myself as a closer. So while I couldn't come to the table with any money to put forward into marketing, I could come forward with a skill set that people didn't have. And that skill set was my ability to pick up my phone and talk to sellers and get them to sign on the dotted line. That's how I alleviated that problem, that I remedied that problem in wholesaling, which was that it costs money and it takes time. I bypassed that by developing a skill set. That being said, that skill set also took an extremely long amount of time and a lot of grind hours to work on. So if I wasn't in my unique situation, I may not be here. I may have been meant for something else. So Logan, to your question, are there a lot of people doing wholesaling? Yes. The reality is, in my humble opinion, a portion of those, maybe 20, 30, 40% of those people should probably not even be doing wholesaling.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they hear us talk about how amazing it is. The reality is there's other things that could be better fits for them. And I want to get into that.
Yeah. So in what situations, so you talked a little bit about somebody who maybe needs money and has time, that might be a great situation for someone to pursue wholesaling. What other situations do you see as being an opportunity for someone to pursue wholesaling? And then what are the other avenues, fix and flip and buy and hold, that might serve someone better depending on that person's individual situation?
So amazing. I think that wholesaling, like we said, it's someone who maybe has a lot of time, maybe not a lot of money, but regardless, they need active income. Wholesaling is a method of active income. It's I need money now in the near future because I got bills to pay coming up. I can't wait to take on a rental that's going to cash flow in the future. I need a check ASAP.
Yeah.
So there's that demographic, right?
What about someone who has a job? Are they
right?
So then they obviously don't need money. So are they good candidates for a wholesale business?
They can be if they want to build out an additional active income stream. My challenge to that is this: if you've got a full-time job, let's just say, Logan, let's just say for you, assuming you didn't do real estate, I know you're killing it in real estate. I'm going to pretend that you and your wife do not do real estate. I'm going to pretend that you guys have your fitness business, maybe some other things, and I'm going to assume that you guys make good money. You're probably making good money. And then you're like, Sam, I want to get into wholesaling. I would hear that and I would say, Logan, you've got a badass car, which you do. You've got a badass car. You're making good money. You're doing okay. My challenge to you is, why the heck are you going to get into wholesaling? And I challenge this all the time to newbies who are in this position when they have a wife and they have full-time jobs. And I'm like, why are you getting into wholesaling? Like, what's the goal? What's the clear, intentional goal? And for a lot of them, it's this. The intentional goal is why do people get into real estate? They want to replace their cost of living, right? Their expenses, their W-2. They want to build real generational wealth. They want cash flow that will let them sustain a quality of life that's predictable, sustainable, scalable, that good stuff. Great. Phenomenal that you know that. Now tell me how wholesaling is going to get you there the fastest. Or is there another avenue that's a straighter, quicker line? So for you, Logan, if you had no real estate background, but you had this money, you had this income from all the other things that you're doing, let's just say you had a W-2, I would challenge you to say, why the heck would you get into wholesaling? It's going to take time. It's not necessarily predictable. It's very difficult to sustain and scale because there's a lot of little nuances and things like that. You are running a full-fledged company at this point. Make no mistakes about it, guys. When you get into wholesaling, yes, you can get a few deals here and there just by being scrappy. But the reality is, take it from someone who does this at like a reasonably high level. Wholesaling itself is running a business. And it is not one of those simple, easy businesses that you can put on autopilot. It is a lot of involvement, a lot of grind, and a lot of little moving parts. So, Logan, if you come to me and you say this, I would challenge that. I would say, if your goal is to have more rentals, to have a rental, get your first one by the end of the year. Maybe get into some Airbnb. Maybe get into some fix and flip. I would challenge your preconceived notion that wholesaling is the right way to start.
We had a conversation very similar to this when we very first met. And I said I wanted to start a wholesale business, not because I wanted the active income, but because I wanted the first piece of the pie of the deal.
Right.
Right. And so tell people out there why the advice and the wisdom that you gave to me on why I either should or shouldn't have done that based on the goal that I just wanted the first dibs at the best deals.
Yeah, so I hear that a lot. I hear that like almost every day, if not every day, that someone wants to get into wholesaling. They want rentals, they want Airbnbs, but they want to get into wholesaling so they get first dibs. They get to cherry pick the best deals. Great, that makes rational sense. But here's why it's a fallacy. Here's why it's probably not the best thing to do. And I told you this. The reality is, if you want good deals, and if you start wholesaling yourself, it is going to, let's just say you hire a full-time VA at 40 hours a week. That's your marketing method. It is an industry standard that you should not expect a deal for probably the first 90 days. For a lot of people, that's a long time. 90 days are going to go by, and then let's just say you get one deal. Amazing. Is it going to be the right deal? Is it going to be the deal that you're going to want? What are the chances that it's going to be the deal that you want to take down? As maybe that deal shows up, but because of its location, because of the repairs, because of this, that, or the other, it doesn't fit. Great. Now you're going to wholesale that one. Now you still don't have a rental. Great. Now it's going to take you another month, 2 months, 3 months to get your next deal. What are the chances that that one works out? The reality is, when people get into wholesaling with the idea that they're going to cherry pick the best deals for themselves, and that's their reason for doing it, I always tell them the reality is you're probably going to spend 6 to 8 months before you find a deal that you actually want to take down and own yourself. If your goal is to just get more deals and to get good deals, you're better served by not becoming a wholesaler, but it is becoming best friends with every wholesaler out there. And I promise you, let them do the legwork. Let them do the hard work. Let them cold call. Let them SMS. Let them, drive around with, 25 bandit signs in the back of their Camry and put them up around town. Let them do that work. And then all you do is you raise your hand up. You say, hey, I'm a buyer. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a house that meets this type of criteria. I want to do this with it. This is what I want. And then you become friends with all of them. And when they start getting these deals, let them do all that. If you get on a buyer's list of 50 wholesalers and they're all locking up a deal a month, it's going to, your first month, you're going to get a deal. First month, you're going to get a deal. And you didn't have to go hire people. You didn't have to cold call, send out SMSs, deal with Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, taking down your ad account every 5 minutes. You didn't have to deal with any of that. Yeah. All you did is just raise your hand up and make some human connections. I would challenge people who get into wholesaling because they want to cherry pick the best deals. There is an easier, faster, cheaper route to getting you to where you want to go. Logan, that's what I told you the first time that you and I talked. Mm-hmm. Looking back at it now, is that something that you agree with, or you're like, Sam, you're crazy as hell. I needed to do it.
Yeah, it was phenomenal advice because it kept me from focusing on something actually really small, which was me trying to create my own wholesale business. I'm just gonna go network with as many people as I possibly can, wholesalers, people who are like you said. So I can have one VA and I can generate a couple leads a day, or I could go talk to hundreds of wholesalers who each have a VA who are each generating 4 or 5 leads a day, which is like 500 leads a day. And I just have to become best friends with those individuals and let them know that I'm a buyer. I will close. I will get them paid. Because here's the thing about wholesaling is that it's low entry, right? Like anybody can technically do it. You don't need a license. You don't need your degree from Fresno State. You don't need a scholarship. You don't need money. You don't need all these things. So the barrier to entry is like anybody who can lock a contract up can become a wholesaler, right? However, you need a buyer, right? Because just like, do you get paid by locking up that contract, Sam, as a wholesaler? How do you actually get paid?
You only get paid if that contract gets performed on and someone actually buys that property and closes at title. That is the only way you get paid.
So as a wholesaler, again, it's low entry, but you actually have the hardest job. You have to not only find to get the A contract, which is the seller, but you also have to go find the B contract, which is the person who's the buyer. And you have to make sure that those two people are see eye to eye, and you're basically the mediator in this whole process. Right?
Yep, exactly. You are connecting dots. That is it. And if you don't connect those dots, if you don't get that second dot, guess what? You're not getting paid. So I will say this, Logan. So you agree with me that was good advice. looking back, I've become a full-fledged buyer. I'm buying a ton of properties. I'm doing a ton of deals. I'm buying and setting up Airbnbs all over the country right now. And as a buyer, I look back at the near 30 wholesale deals that I did that I sold to other people. I look back and I actually did an audit because I wanted to challenge myself and be like, man, how many deals did I do? And for these people who think this way of let me cherry pick. And I looked and I ran those deals and saw how many of them would have fit my buy box so I can turn them into Airbnbs. Out of, let's just say, let's round it up. I think it's like 26 or 27. Let's just pretend it's 30 deals. But you know how many deals out of those roughly 26 to 30 deals that I would have, looking back, I underwrote and I would have actually bought today? If you came to my desk today and said, here's a deal, would you buy it? You know how many?
I'm just going to use 10% as a great number for all numbers. So I'm going to say 3 deals.
3. That's actually amazing. So, and for the record, guys, I've done deals all over the country in amazing markets and not so amazing markets. 1.
Nice. So less than 10%.
One deal. It took me 26, 27, I think 27 deals. And then out of those 27, I would have cherry picked 1. Guys, that is not the best route forward. That is not the best route forward at all. The reality is, if you're in a position where you've got income coming in, where you've got a spouse and maybe some kids and you're looking for additional stability, the reality is wholesaling is an avenue. It's a great avenue. Don't get me wrong. It is a phenomenal avenue, but it may not be the best one for where you're at in life right now. So, Logan, I think I had this point with you when you and I first talked, and at the time you were looking for more rentals, more buy-in holds, maybe some Airbnbs, and I said, great. Well, now we disqualified wholesaling for you. I said that, you need more deals to own. So what are the 2 things that you would be looking for?
So the 2 things I'm looking for as far as like, how do I get those deals?
Yeah. Like what was in a general sense, the 2 most important things for you?
Cash flow. You mean as far as like why I would take a deal down?
No. I was saying, like what is now your business model? You were looking for 2 things. Yeah, every buyer is looking for. The reality is 2 things.
Yeah. So I'm looking for 2 things. So when I look at a deal, there's 3 pieces of every deal. We have to be able to find a deal. We have to be able to fund a deal, and then we have to be able to manage the deal, whatever that depends on what an exit strategy is, right? In this case, it would be hold. And so what I'm looking for is people who can find deals, right? That's the biggest one, because without that first piece of the equation, then we don't even get to talk about the remaining 2. And so on a daily basis, I am finding wholesalers. I'm creating relationships with these amazing individuals and seeing how I can provide value to them in their business, and just seeing like where they're at, whether it's maybe some wisdom, maybe they just need belief. Maybe they didn't know that what my buy box is. So that way they can like know that when they see a deal, they're like, I know that this person, Logan, for example, he will buy this property. And so all of a sudden their belief and their follow-up and all of the legwork they're doing, they know it's gonna be worth it because they have somebody who they trust and they've seen close on properties they've done business with, they've got paid on before. They're willing to maybe go a little bit of the extra mile because they know that it'll close. Right.
Amazing. So guys, Logan took it one step further. The reality is and that's because Logan's amazing and he's smart as heck. And I didn't even think about that. The reality is when you start becoming a buyer, right? Let's just say you're in this situation. I'm going to create an avatar here. I'm going to pretend, let's just say it's me. Pretend I have a wife and I have a young child and I have a full-time job and I want rentals. I want buy-in holds. The reality is I need 2 things. Logan gave me a third and that's phenomenal. But the first 2 things are I need deals. I need deals in front of me. I need deals. That's it. I need deals that I can say yes or no to. And then 2, I need the capital to be able to take those deals down. Yeah. So here's where a lot of people get stuck, Logan. They're brand new to real estate and they either A, don't have a ton of their own capital, or B, they're maybe afraid of using they spent so much time grinding away at their jobs and they don't want to deploy the few $100,000 that they have in the bank. So I run into that all the time. Should that stop them from being buyers?
Absolutely not. And I'll tell you my quick story about how I got started is it took me 4 years to be able to save up enough money to buy our very first property because that's all I knew. Again, keep in mind, this is the same guy who wholesaled a deal for $0. So I was not in tune with all the different ways that I could buy a property. So I did the conventional way. I saved up a couple $100,000. I found a property and I went through a traditional bank and I put a 25% down payment and I bought a property that cash flowed $700, right? And it was like a 8 or 9 or 10% cash on cash return, just literally like very standard by the book. And
that is
a long time.
That is a textbook. Not to throw shade at them because I love them as they're good people, but that is a textbook bigger pockets approach.
And that's exactly what it was. It's 100% what it was. So 4 years. 4 years.
Amazing. 4 years. Okay. Now I'm going to challenge that. Guys, I want everyone to listen to this and like listen when I say this. I started real estate sub 2 entrepreneurship 6 months ago. I joined in October. I had a negative net worth because I had student debt. Actually, I still have that student debt because I haven't paid it off because it's opportunity cost. But the reality is this, guys, I'm buying properties all over the country. I'm buying properties all over the country that I'm never going to visit. I probably will never visit these houses. And I'm doing it. Logan, you want to know how much of my own money I'm spending on these deals?
Hopefully 0.
I'm spending nothing at all. $0 out of pocket, out of my pocket, out of my partner's pocket. It's not that a partner who came in and he's funding it all with his cash and his bank account. No, we are not tapping in to my bank account for this. So how am I doing that? I'm going and finding private money that other people have. Now I want to buy properties. Guess what, guys? 6 months into this game, I'm doing great. I still cannot go to the bank. I'm probably not very financeable right now. And that's fine because I don't have a ton of work history because I just graduated college last year. So I'm not super financeable. That's totally okay. I can't go and qualify for a traditional mortgage the way that Logan could, right? The way that he did it. It took him 4 years to do it. I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go find, you know how Logan's secret hack to bypassing wholesaling is to go find people who are wholesaling? My hack to not having the money or wanting to spend no money out of my pocket is to go find people who have it all. I'm going to go become their best friend now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, you know why you become their best friend? Because again, it all goes back to value, right? All goes back to value is that we got the 3 pieces of the deal: find the deal, fund the deal, manage the deal. Sam, you understand those three components, and most people actually have the ability to fund lots of deals. Like there's lots of money sitting out there in people's bank accounts, their 401ks, in the stock market, in ancillary investments that are not cash flowing and they're not getting the amount of return that they could get into real estate, right? Let's just put it that way. And so what you have the skill set of is you know how to find deals very, very well. You even know how to manage those deals to make sure that those deals are profitable and they're safe. And so although at this moment you don't have the capital yourself, it doesn't freaking matter. You know people who do have the capital. So you actually bring all 3 of those to the table. And I think that's the most important piece is like, even in my situation, same thing. I have the ability to fund deals. I have the ability to manage deals. And although I'm not the one going out there and finding deals, I am resourceful enough to find the people who bring the deals to the table. Therefore, I can take a deal down because I actually know how to use other people's resources, other people's skill sets to be able to knock out all 3 of those components. And as do you. And so everyone thinks about a deal from the standpoint of what do I have? And that's obviously not the right question. It's like, well, if I don't currently have it, who does? And how can I add value to them? And how can I serve them? Right.
So the answer here is simple. The answer is very, very simple. It is 3 words. It is who, not how. It is that simple. So guys, let's do like a quick recap on this as we start wrapping things up soon. So if you are, let's just say, young and you've got all the time in the world, but you got no money, you need to learn this industry. Let's just say you're a kid that graduated college last year and you need active income right now or soon within the near future. You need some checks to provide some stability in the very short to medium term. Wholesaling is a phenomenal option. Yeah. It is not easy. It is simple. It's ultra simple. I can give you the blueprint, A to Z. It is still very difficult. It is just like, Logan, you're huge on fitness, right? It is the same as getting a 6-pack. Everyone knows the answer. The answer is very readily available online. We all know the answer. You know the answer. It's simple, but it's not easy. Sustaining that work ethic is not easy. And if you are, let's just compare this avatar. let's just say, let's pretend I'm not married, but let's pretend I have a wife and I have 2 kids, and my goal is to spend as much time with them as possible. And I have some money, but I don't really want to deploy it. I need to keep it safe because I've got 2 kids I need to take care of. Phenomenal. You can start considering yourself a buyer.
Yeah.
Now, what do? Now you have to start looking to the 3 things that Logan talked about, right? It's where's the deal coming from? Who can fund the deal and who's going to manage the deal? Well, guess what? You can become a value by figuring out how to find those deals. Logan's answer was actually the answer to part 1 of who can, or where do these deals come from? The deal finder. It's by, I can go become friends with 100 wholesalers and they're sending me 100 deals a month. Well, guess what? Now I know where the deal is coming from. Now I found the deal. Yeah. Well, let's just say I've got some money in the bank, but I can't spend it because I'm young and I need to save my money for my wife and my kids. I can't tap into that or my wife's going to kick me out the house because she spent so much time saving it up. Great. I don't have the money. Let's pretend I don't have the money now. Well, what can I do? I can start getting loud in finding the people who do have the money. And I swear to you folks, as someone who goes and raises a lot of money, I'm going to tell you this right now. The people that you would least expect it from, for some weird reason, end up having the most money. It's all about having those conversations. So now, let's just say a wholesaler brought me the deal. I didn't go find the deal. I just went someone who found me the deal. Now I need the funding, right? Part 2 is how do you fund the deal? Well, dang, I don't want to fund it myself. Well, guess what? I can go find someone to fund it. Well, great. Let's just say it's an Airbnb. An Airbnb is a lot of freaking work to manage and it's hospitality work. Let's just say I don't know anything about Airbnbs. Dang, did the whole thing just fall apart because I don't have part 3? The answer is no. You can go find people who will set up, design, manage, run your Airbnb for you forever. Now, I've actually not done part 1. I didn't find the deal. I didn't bring the money to the table. I didn't fund the deal, and I'm not operating, managing the deal. But what I've done is I found someone who found the deal. I found someone who's got the capital, and I found someone who can manage it. I've solved all 3 parts without having to actually myself be one of them. This is something that's so slept on, so underrated. No one talks about it. But the reality is, guys, listen to me when I say this. This avenue is probably a better fit for more people that are doing wholesaling and they just don't realize it.
Yeah. You're the ultimate wholesaler because you literally become the middleman on the deal finding, on the funding, and on the management. You're literally the ultimate wholesaler. And without having to go knock doors or cold call or text anybody.
This is amazing. And this is so true, guys. Like, if you guys don't believe me, let's look at my mentor, Pace Morby, who's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal investor, phenomenal mind. But if we look at him, Pace is taking down deals all the time. He's getting his own deals. Don't get me wrong. He absolutely is. But I would argue that at least half, if not more of his deals are being sent to him from other wholesalers who've already found the deal. He's not spending any of his own money because he's got so many investors who want to just give him money because there's so much private capital in the world. And then 3, Pace Morby isn't operating and managing these things on his own, right? No, he's going to outsource that to someone like the Airbnb king, Noah Hoffman. Yeah. And that's Pace Morby. He's one of the most well-known investors in the world right now. So guys, understand where you're going. What is the intentional goal behind everything that you're doing? And ask yourself, is the road that I'm on, is it the straightest, quickest road there? Or am I on a detour? If I'm on a detour, I need to find that straight road.
And I think fundamentally when I think about real estate, their default is that they want to hold property because holding property is the ultimate reoccurring business. And I think that's what most people see. Stability, and they see security in cash flow because it happens every single month. Whereas you look at a wholesale business, like say, I'm like, how much recurring business is in the wholesale business?
Here's the thing. There is recurring business, right? Actually, technically, no. Like, you're not going to have a repeat customer. Yeah. To build it, I'm going to be truthful with you guys here. Someone who's done a lot of freaking deals in a very short amount of time. It is not consistent. It is not necessarily predictable. It's one of those things where you get a deal right now, you will truly not know when or where your next check is coming from.
So it's like feast or famine. And like I've seen some of your some of your deals, Sam, and some of the things you posted, like you can have $100,000 months, and sometimes you can have a couple $1,000 months. And again, when it's good, it's good, and when it's not, it gets real scary sometimes. And I think that's why people tend to move towards doing rentals, whether it be long-term or short-term rentals, is because there's consistency. There's like, you get a check at the beginning of the month, or you get a check once your guest checks in. And ultimately understanding that, when I hear Pace talk about this, he said he would build his referral business and his portfolio business, and then come back behind, and then maybe add a strong income stream like wholesaling to it, right? And so it's like, start thinking,
Right.
especially if you do have active income already, if you have a job. It's funny because the biggest misnomer that people have, that they believe that they choose to perceive, is that their job holds them back. It's their greatest asset. It's the greatest asset because they don't need freaking money. They don't need to wholesale, so they actually can put their attention on the thing that's actually going to set them free, which is building a freaking portfolio. And as having a W-2, you become, as Sam says, you become very lendable, right? As a W-2, you have stability. Like, people like people with job. Like, banks love people who have jobs and they have some income. They don't like 1099, especially when you're first starting. They actually won't even give you a loan. Even after you've had a 1099 or a business for 2 years, they still don't like you. They ask you for everything under the sun, right? And the biggest asset that someone who's got a job has is that W-2, because you can literally build your portfolio without the risk of, like, you don't need to go make money. You don't need to have $100,000 a month in order for you to survive, to pay your rent or your mortgage or your kids' lunch. You have a job, guaranteed, right? Guaranteed income every single week or 2 weeks. And so, like, flip that around. Like, it's the greatest asset you have.
So true, so true, so freaking true. So I'm gonna be open with you guys. A lot of people know this. I've been open about this in the past. I want to say it now. It is what, April now. February was a huge month for me. February, Logan knows this. In February, I did in gross assignments and wholesale fees, I did a little bit over $121,000 in 1 month.
Silly.
Freaking amazing. Freaking amazing. Right? Amazing. I put zero stake in that. Mentally, to me, that money doesn't exist. It's not repeatable. I am not counting on that happening again anytime soon. And can I reverse engineer it and replicate it and probably scale it? Eventually, yes. But the reality is, with wholesaling, the way that I understand this business is, it is not that consistent. It is not that predictable. And it's here at its core, wholesaling is sales. The same with being a car salesman or a life insurance salesman or a salesman of anything like this. You're going to have ebbs and flows and waves, and your entire model is subject to change. It's subject to change based on everything that's happening in the environment. But I completely agree. So for everyone who's like, I've got a W-2, I hate it, but I want to get into wholesaling so I can leave it. I don't know that I always agree with that. In fact, I usually disagree with that more often than not.
When I like to use this example, the first time that we put $100,000 in our bank account, I remember it was one of our goals, and I think I shared with this, Sam, when I was in Fresno a couple weeks ago. Is me and Katie, we set a goal, my wife, that we were going to hit $100,000, and then once we did, then we could have a child, right? We had to give ourselves a nice motivation to go put $100K in the bank. And I remember when we hit that $100,000, and I screenshot it and I sent it to my wife, because I checked the bank account every single morning. And there was like a moment of just like accomplishment, right? Because we actually had worked for this, and there was a prize at the end of it that we were going to basically try to conceive, which is now Lainey, our now 3-year-old. And it was awesome, right? And very quickly, that feeling of accomplishment went away, and I just got freaking scared. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this? And like now what, right? And there was like this ultimate like change in thought process of, well, that, like, having $100,000 in the bank, it becomes scary because I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Like what do I do with it now? I'm afraid of losing it. And it was in that moment that I truly understood the power of passive income and reoccurring income.
Right.
And I was like, I want to take this $100,000 out of the bank account so quickly, and I want to figure out how to replace this with $10,000 a month in reoccurring money that just comes in every single month. Like this big lump, I don't like it. It scares me. And it was one of those moments in my life where it truly helped me and my values, and where my security lies is that I wanted the passive income much more than I wanted this big lump sum or this nest egg, which is ironic because that's how we grew up. I grew up understanding that's how you should retire. You should retire with a nest egg and wait till you're 65 years old and all these other things, right? And I was like, I don't feel that. I don't align with that. I align with, I want to be financially free today, and I want reoccurring income, because as we especially know, as we know right now in our world today, the dollar keeps getting depressed, and like that money that just sits in the bank account, it literally just keeps going down. Where our cash flow obviously is based on, and it can be moved based on inflation. Guess what happens when inflation goes up? Our rents go up, which means our cash flow continues to rise with inflation.
So I mean, this is so true. It's so and I feel like we're crushing the souls of a lot of people here right now by saying this. But guys, take it from me as someone who is the picture perfect person, the picture perfect avatar of someone who needed to do wholesaling, because if I didn't, I couldn't eat. Like, this is the truth. Because I just graduated school, this, that, and the other. Now I'm on the other side. I can never wholesale a deal for the rest of my life, and I swear it is not going to change anything. I'm still going to be ultra wealthy. I'm still going to go and, make millions upon millions upon millions. It's not going to change anything. The reality is wholesaling got me off the ground, and now my perspective has changed in a big way. I did over 121,000 in February, and that sounds amazing and amazing and amazing. My partner knows this. And he's like, dude, why are you not like happy about this? And I was very grateful. I was very grateful that I was able to do this. And then I looked back and I'm like, it's like, but what did it cost? It cost so much time and energy and effort and this gigantic apparatus that, to me, I'm like, I don't want to be in that apparatus when I'm 30, when I've got a wife and a kid. For me, I'll take that 120. I'll throw that to the side. I would much rather take the 10K a month. That's always going to be there no matter what. Yeah. That stability, honestly, it's something that will affect your mindset in such a way that for a lot of people, you may just not be there yet. But when you get there, trust me, you'll never look back. And our mentor, Pace, he says this: wholesaling. I remember this one time I heard him say this on a Q&A, and it threw me because I was trying to become a wholesaler. And he was just like, wholesaling's cute, but it's a hobby. Yeah. This is true. This is absolutely true.
Coming from one of the greatest teachers and educators on wholesaling, right? And I think that's why there's so much trust and why people are so attracted to him, because he actually just tells it like it is. And when you actually are in his mentorship and you get to actually see him and interact with him, and Sam has been right there in the studio and had the one-on-one conversation with him. So he's seen this at the sniff, touch, and feel level, right? There's so much value in just seeing what somebody does. And that's why Pace is such a good leader, is because we can just literally watch him and we see how he talks. And sometimes you can see why he talks and why he does it, and understand like there's always a reason why he's saying a certain, like he's bringing a certain message, and then you watch him perform, and it just gives you a path to follow, right? He's the trailblazer, and we get to just follow behind and say, okay, I see why he's doing this and doing this. And then you can make the adjustment based on your situation, your goals, and your values, because ultimately, like, Pace actually does have different goals, different values. He's got a different vision than even you and I do. Although our values are very much aligned. That's why we all kind of sync with him for sure. However, like, our ultimate plans and ultimate goals are different, because we're just in different phases of our lives at the moment. And even when we get to where he's at, he'll be 10 times ahead of where he's at now. Right. So I'm just like I'm actually super grateful to be in this mentorship and to be able to hang out with guys like you. And then with that being said, one of the most important pieces you can do is you can be around amazing individuals, right? And so you can pay for mentorships, which is what you do. But some people out there, maybe they're in sub 2. That's awesome. Maybe they're not in sub 2, But the best thing you can do is you can go hook up and you can try to build a relationship with the Sam Sings of the world. You can build a relationship with the Logan Manzaners of the world, right? And like, how do I get in their airspace? How do I help them out? Like Sam, if someone's like, hey, I want to learn about how to hold property. I want to do Airbnbs. Like, is there a way for them to be able to get in there and help you? If they have like one of those 3 things that they can, like, could they help you if they knew how to find deals? Or maybe they have money. It's like, Sam,
Right.
I have $100,000 sitting in an IRA. Or I have $100,000 sitting in the bank that I don't know what to do with. Like, can you help me get into the game of real estate, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. So I held this Zoom training a few weeks ago, and I actually talked about how to get plugged in, very practically how to get plugged in. Now, what we went over these avatars, and what if you are this person, the person who wants to get into rentals, and they, how do they plug in with someone like me who's doing deals, who's taking down Airbnbs, who's basically doing pretty well in this game? Well, you can fit one of those 3 things. Do you have a deal that you can sell me? I tell people all the time, if you sell me a deal, you are immediately getting plugged in with me.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say you don't have a deal. Maybe you're new. You don't know how to find a deal. That's okay. That's okay. Other people will bring me deals. Well, maybe you fit into part 2 or 3. Maybe you're going to be someone who helps me fund the deal or helps me manage or operate the deal. Maybe you can become an operational partner, which is not going to happen with me, but there's people who take down Airbnbs who want that. The most meaningful, quick way for people to get plugged in with me is either to bring me a deal that I will buy. That could be cash or creative, but usually for Airbnbs. Or B, if you've got some money that's sitting on the sidelines and you want to get into Airbnbs and you want to learn that stuff, but you're a little bit afraid to pull the trigger because you just don't know enough yet about the operations of it, how to do it, how to find it, how to set it up, all that kind of stuff, you can actually become my funding partner. And you get to leverage my experience, my systems, my partner who's a freaking genius at this game. You get to put your money to work, and then you get to skip years off the learning curve. This is why what Logan's basically hinting at is it's extremely valuable, and this is the power of proximity. Proximity is so huge.
You can cut 4 years and you can get a deal tomorrow. Like, that's how valuable it is. Like,
I'm gonna be honest. So Logan, I hate to rub salt into the wound, but I'm gonna do that right now, bro. So it took Logan 4 years to get the money, to save it up, to find the deal, and then I'm assuming once you got the deal, you probably had growing pains of understanding, and you were learning. Right? There was still a learning curve in operations. I have a partner who's a funding partner who we're about to get a deal hopefully signed within. I'm just sending out good vibes to it right now. With this week, this partner has been in real estate for probably a month and a half, brand new to real estate, brand new sub-2 student. They've just got some money sitting on the sidelines. Hopefully by the end of this week, I'm going to be able to go and tell them, hey, guess what? Your money is going to get deployed, and you are with me going to see how I do all of this stuff. They're going to get it within a month and a half. And then what's going to happen is they're going to hit copy and paste. They're going to hit Control C and Control V on how I do everything so they can go do it for themselves. That's the power of proximity.
It's so freaking powerful. It's so freaking powerful. And I'll add one more thing to the persons out there sitting like, well, I don't know how to find deals. And you know what? I actually don't have any money. No, I guess I can't play. Right. And so here's a situation. I had that same situation come up last week. And one of the people who's actually inside the sub-2 group, he's actually local here to my market. He's like, Logan, I found this guy. He has $300,000 and he wants to be a funding partner. He wants to lend. He's like, I don't really have deals. I don't really have a track record, but you know what? What do you think about helping him out? And so he brought him to me. We all 3 were on a conversation, and he got to like experience me talking to a private moneylender who wanted to invest all this money. And he was just like, after that conversation, he was like, dude, that was freaking amazing. Thank you for like walking me through that. Like, you made it sound so simple. And he's like, that was so cool. And what I'm going to do when we lock a deal up and this guy becomes a funding partner for me, like, I'm going to give Taylor is his name. I'm going to give him a little kickback. Just like, I didn't even tell him that. I'm just going to do it because I'm like, you know what? I appreciate you. Thanks for doing that. And so that's another way you can do it as well. If you don't have any money, is go find someone who does have money and go quote unquote broker the deal. And just establish a relationship, because you know what? When Taylor gets in a situation and guess what? Maybe he finds a deal. Guess what? Who do you think is going to help him out? Right? I'm going to help him out.
I tell this all the time, guys. Pretend you're brand new, pretend you don't know how to find a deal, pretend you don't have any money and you don't know how to run and operate an Airbnb. Now, how do you get plugged in with Samsung meaningfully? I said this to like 4 different people today. It's okay. You know how I said, well, I'm gonna go be friends with 100 different wholesalers, and that actually takes time. Logan, you've done this, and you know that takes time, and it's not easy.
Yep.
Guess what? I deploy them, and I say, hey, help me in this mission. I want you to go find all the other wholesalers who are locking up deals, and all I need you to do is bring those deals to me.
Yeah.
I only have so many minutes in the day that I can't actually go and do. I can't touch base with every wholesaler out there and look at every deal. It would take too much time for me to put that grind work into just getting them in front of me. You can become a conveyor belt to me. And on every single deal that you bring across my desk that I take down, I'm going to pay you. Regardless of if you talk to the seller or not, or if you had the contract, or if you put down EMD or title or whatever, you didn't have to do any of that. All you had to do is just go find that deal and then shoot it to me over in an email. If I take it down, you're getting paid.
Amazing, right?
It's easy.
It's really that easy. So, Sam, as we kind of wrap up today, we talked a lot about wholesaling, right? Which is great for the people out there who are into wholesaling, or maybe people who are like, I don't know what wholesaling is. We talked a lot about becoming someone who holds property, right? And how to do it, even if you don't have money, even if you don't have access to lots of deal flow, you don't have VAs, you don't have the time to go out there and knock on doors. The one thing that we didn't talk a lot about, and we're actually not going to talk a lot about tonight, is fixing flipping, right? And so we'll save that for a different podcast. We will talk about it because it does have its place. It does have its relevance. And truthfully, neither you or I, we're not big on it. It's not a part of our business plan at the moment, although it can be. And I've actually expressed to you why I want to build that up and my strategy for bringing that in to my game. And just so everyone knows, like, it is a stepping stone to get to buy more properties, of course. But there is a strategy of why I want to use fix and flip. But again, tonight, it's not the night we're going to talk about it. So ultimately, Sam, if you can summarize for people out there what we went over tonight and action steps, right? What are action steps people can take today to get a deal, get their hands in, get the experience, and get the belief that, you know what, this game of real estate is really not that complicated. But in order to understand it, you have to get into it. You have to be able to play.
So amazing. So I'm going to make this as simple as I can. First and foremost, this is a mindset thing. This is a self-discovery thing. This is Logan, you know this. My 2 main mantras in life are clarity first. It's always clarity, and then it's laser focus. So guys, first, be clear with yourself. Where are you in life? Do a self-assessment. Where are you in life? What are your limitations? What are your abilities? What do you have, right? What do you bring to the table? And then B, where do you want to be going, right? What is the goal, the real crystal clear goal? Now you know where you're at. Now you know where you want to be, right? Now comes part 2, laser focus. It is creating a game plan that gets you from point A to point B the fastest. Now, here's the thing. Maybe you don't know how to get there. Maybe you don't because you're just not in it enough yet. So here's what we're talking about. Getting plugged in. The answer is as simple as what we talked about today. It is who, not how. It is finding the people who are doing it better than you are right now and bringing value to them, getting plugged into their business. So if you are young and you need money now and you want to get into wholesaling, the answer is as simple as this. I'm going to go get plugged in with someone who's wholesaling, who has a reputable wholesaling company. They're locking up 3, 4, 5 deals a month. I can go and bring value by working for them, helping them crush more deals, and I'm going to learn. It's a synergistic relationship. If your goal is to get into rentals or Airbnbs, well, you can bring value by bringing the deal, bringing the funding, being an operator. And now you just need to go find people who are doing it. You have 2 guys on screen who do this at a pretty freaking decent level. You can get plugged in with us.
Quit being modest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Logan kills it at this game. I mean, there we go. So I'm not going to be modest about Logan. Don't
be modest about yourself. This is no time to be modest, Sam. Like, you do this at an extremely high level. The amount of value that you do provide, and that you will continue to provide to people who get in your airspace, it really is invaluable, and it'll shortcut your lifespan of getting to your goals from freaking 4 years down to like you get into a deal tomorrow and you could reach your financial freedom goal. Like there's no reason why you can't do it in a year, right? From a guy who's buying 50 Airbnbs in a year, like that's the kind of person you want to be in that airspace. It'll make you think differently. You'll question everything you've done up until that point in your life. And you know what? At that point, you get to make the decision whether you're going to be like, maybe this guy knows something. Maybe I'm going to follow him. I'm going to believe. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know it, you don't have 50 Airbnbs. You just have 10, right? And you have 10 Airbnbs that are doing $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month. And you're like, I never would have thought I could do that. That's what ends up happening. So anyway, not to interrupt you, but quit being modest and go forward.
Okay. Guys, at the end of the day, the most meaningful way to get plugged into me, with me, if you want to learn how to do Airbnbs, the reality is this. My partner and I are going to be buying and setting up 50 Airbnbs this year. That is a goal. It's a very attainable one. It is ambitious, but we're doing it without a doubt. No joke about it. If you want to be a partner with us, you can bring deals to us. We will buy them and we will pay you. If you want to learn the process and get the blueprint A to Z from me and my partner, you can become a funding partner for us. All you got to do is either you have the capital yourself. Let's just say you don't. Like Logan said, go find someone in your circle who does and you broker it. And guess what? Now you just wholesale that. You just middleman that. Now you're operating at a really high level of thinking.
Yeah.
And you are, I promise you were going to skip years and years and years off the learning curve, just like I did. It's how I did just under 30 deals in 6 months. It's because I got plugged in. I skipped the learning curve. And if you want to learn how to crush it with long-term rentals, right? If you want to learn how to absolutely crush it with getting long-term rentals from someone who's done it the polar opposite way, who's had a totally different approach, who comes at it from a different perspective in life because he has a wife and 2 kids. And if you also want to learn how to get absolutely ripped and hot doing it at the same time, then you might want to be plugging in with a guy like Logan, because Logan's ship is a ship that I would definitely freaking want to be on.
Sam, the old adage is like, you can't fix ugly, but you can fix fat, man. So like, let's go. Like, let's change our bodies, right? Like change what you can. And ultimately, like plug in with someone out there who can add value to you. Like the biggest mistake I did, and Sam, I'm sure that you can agree with this, is just trying to do things on your own, trying to be the lone wolf, trying to be the superhero, try to put everything on your back. Like, don't be that guy. It doesn't work. It's not very much fun. It's really lonely. And you don't get the support that you need in order to get to the next level, because the only marker that you have is yourself, and you haven't created any success in this game. So put yourself around people who have created success, so that way you have a level that you can reach up to and you can look up to, and you have someone you can bounce ideas off of. And like, it's funny because I just got a text right before we got on here from a wholesaler who I've developed a relationship with. I'd reach into him. We actually haven't even done a deal yet, and he just like told me all of his freaking problems. He just like tell me like how he's struggling, and like, I'm gonna reach out to him. I want to help him out. Like, we haven't even done a deal together. It doesn't matter, because ultimately it's a people business. It's a relationship business. I actually don't even care if we ever do a deal together. Like, I want to make sure that he feels supported and he feels helped. And at the end of the day, like, he takes care of his family as well, right? So yeah, so plug in. I put our Instagrams down below. So plug. You can DM us on Instagram. We're both on Facebook as well, but Instagram's going to be the best place. Reach out to us. Again, if you want to put your money into a deal, go reach out to Sam. Like, he's got the deals, right? If you want someone to ask questions to, go reach out to Sam. Like, he's got the wisdom as well. Okay. And what you can do for me is you can just like my YouTube, and you can like share people with this and get people on here, and go follow both Sam and I, and share people about this podcast. All we're here to do is here to educate, to serve. And that's our goal. And we want to do deals with every single person who's on here.
So here's another thing, and I actually made this rule the other day. If anyone wants to be a partner with me, if you see me on a live, you see me on a Zoom, you see me with, whether it's with Munif or Jonah or Logan on our podcast here today, and you want to partner with me, and you found out that you can partner with me through this, I have a requirement now. And that requirement is I will not partner with you unless you take a screenshot of where you saw us, and then you post it on social media, and you give Logan, especially today, give Logan some love for going out of his way to do this. The reality is Logan's crushing it in life. He's absolutely crushing it in life. He has no reason to be doing this other than the fact that he actually believes this is a people business, and he wants to help people. So take a screenshot, post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, tag the both of us, give Logan some love, guys. He absolutely freaking deserves it. If you do that, then we can talk.
do not forget to post. Otherwise, Sam, keep your money, keep your deals. I ain't buying it. Post it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I love it, Sam. I truly love this. I truly enjoy connecting with you. This actually gives me a lot of fulfillment. It's really fun. I love sharing. And we'll be back next week. We're going to bring a special guest on next week. Sam has got two guys I think lined up. That is going to be an amazing podcast. And just look forward to chatting with you again next week, Sam. So happy Tuesday, Sam. And thank you for sharing today. Like, just truly grateful. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you too, brother. Guys, go post. You guys know what to do. We'll see you next week.
Bye.